Florida has executed Louis Gaskin.
56-year-old Louis Gaskin was dubbed the Ninja Killer
for stalking his Central Florida victims wearing all black.
He received lethal injection and died at 6:15 this evening.
Prison officials say Louis Gaskin woke up just before 5 a.m. Then 3 hours later, he received his last meal, and then his sister visited him for the last time. And then shortly after 6 o'clock, he was put to death.
Gaskin had barbecue pork ribs, buffalo wings, pork and turkey neck, shrimp fried rice, French fries with honey barbecue sauce and water.
The sentence of the state of Florida versus Louis Bernard Gaskin was carried out at 6:15 p.m. The execution took place without incident.
This one played out pretty good. I mean, it was, what's routine mean? He quietly went to sleep and he died.
Can you tell us some of the last words he said?
Basically, he referred to his case that didn't go wrong. He said that basically it's not about the crime or the criminal, it's about the law. And then he asked, the last 4 words of his life was, look at my case.
None of the victims' relatives attended that execution.
On December 20th, 1989, Robert and Georgette Sturmfels were murdered with a .22 caliber gun inside their Palm Coast home. Their bullet-riddled house burglarized.
In a chilling act of brutality, Gaskin, driven by an unfathomable darkness, orchestrated a haunting sequence of events that forever scarred the lives of Robert and Georgette Sturmfels. Like a scene from a twisted thriller, Gaskin parked his car in a desolate wooded area, shrouded in secrecy. From there, he carefully aimed his weapon and fired 2 shots through the window, piercing Robert's unsuspecting body.
The horror did not end there. Georgette, desperately attempting to escape the room, became Gaskin's next target, falling victim to his unrelenting violence. Unsettlingly, Gaskin's merciless assault did not cease. As if driven by an insatiable desire to snuff out any flicker of hope, he fired another shot at Robert before setting his sights on Georgette once more.
The tale grows even more harrowing as Gaskin, fueled by a twisted determination, crossed the threshold into the Sturmfels' home. With chilling precision, he aimed his weapon and ended the lives of both Robert and Georgette, their fate sealed by his callous shots to the head. The stolen property from the Sturmfels' home included a clock, 2 lamps, and a video cassette recorder. These were discovered at the Gaskins' residence. Astonishingly, investigators revealed that these items were meant to be Christmas gifts for his girlfriend.
The same night of the murders, Joe and Noreen Rector were attacked and robbed. Joe shot in the chest.
I just can't imagine that anyone would kill another person with robbery as the motive.
With stealthy determination, Gaskins crept towards their home, ready to unleash his malevolence. As Joseph Rector, driven by a mixture of curiosity and concern, ventured out of his cozy bed to investigate a suspicious noise, he fell victim to Gaskin's lethal intentions. A gunshot shattered the stillness of the night, leaving Joseph wounded and gasping for breath. However, in a testament to their resilience, the Rectors refused to surrender to despair.
With unwavering determination and adrenaline pumping through their veins, the wounded couple summoned every ounce of strength they had left. Despite their injuries, they managed to escape the clutches of impending doom, reaching the safety of their car. With the engine revving and their hearts pounding, they raced towards the nearest hospital, their desperate drive a race against time.
I think he should die for what he did.
He's got to be some kind of a crazy person.
Local media reported at the time that Gaskin quickly confessed to the crimes and told a psychologist before his trial that he knew what he was doing. The guilt was always there. The devil had more of a hold than God did. I knew that I was wrong. I wasn't insane.
Gaskin's on the charges of first-degree murder. There's no bond on either of those charges.
Gaskin was arrested less than 2 weeks after the murders. He directed deputies to a pond where he dumped evidence in several crimes.
Adding to their anguish, Noreen candidly shares the additional trauma inflicted upon them by the very authorities entrusted to protect and serve. Instead of being treated as victims, they were unjustly viewed as suspects by the Flagler County Sheriff's Department.
The profound impact of being treated with suspicion while still reeling from the assault cannot be overstated. It was the Bunnell Police Department that eventually cracked the case, bringing a semblance of justice to their shattered lives.
The aftermath of the attack continued to haunt them, as Noreen reveals her husband's health struggles that surfaced years later. The hepatitis C he contracted from the blood transfusions administered due to his injuries unleashed a new battle, one filled with grueling treatments akin to chemotherapy.
Gaskin was not only tried in the murders of the Sturmfels and the attack on the Rectors, he was also charged in the 1986 murder of Charles Sam Miller of Bunnell. In all, Gaskin, the ninja killer, received 8 life sentences and, upon an 8-4 recommendation from an all-white jury, was given 2 death sentences.
Gaskin's execution came after the Florida Supreme Court and U.S. Supreme Court had denied numerous appeals from his legal team who argued lack of mental illness evidence in trial.
The pace of executions is already accelerating here in Florida. This will be the state's 100th execution since the death penalty was reinstated in 1976.
Gaskin's execution met with protests by the anti-death penalty organizations, including Floridians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty, FADP.
And was Mr. Gaskin acting under a delusional belief system in that he believed he was a ninja sort of fighting for some weird crusade?
We're not killing the same person that this was 30 years ago, and we're also killing the whole Louis Gaskin, who's mentally ill, who had a deprived and traumatic childhood, horrific childhood that you wouldn't wish upon your worst enemy.
In a poignant divergence of opinion, Joseph Rector stands firm in his belief that Gaskin deserves the ultimate punishment, while his ex-wife Noreen vehemently opposes the execution. Noreen's objections go beyond the case itself, as she accuses Governor DeSantis of exploiting the situation for political gain, igniting a new wave of pain and victimization.
I don't think the death penalty would actually ever serve. You know, if somebody lock them away for the rest of their life without any chance of parole, and we're done. You know, why would taking his life? I mean, why are we even thinking about taking his life? It's ridiculous.
She believes it's politically driven by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, who has ordered 3 executions to take place in the span of 10 weeks.
I find him and his views highly offensive and divisive. His signing the death warrant is not doing me any favor. It has only stirred up painful memories and has victimized me again. Good luck, my Florida friends, and rest in peace, Louis.
In 1990, jurors recommended a death sentence for Gaskin with an 8-4 vote, which the judge accepted. Although Florida now requires a unanimous jury vote for capital punishment since 2017, the state legislature, backed by Governor DeSantis, is considering removing this requirement in the future.
It was damn cruel for his 2 victims that he murdered, and so, you know, he's getting justice, and he may not like it, but he didn't have any feelings for those victims that he murdered or their families that were left behind.
While the Flagler County Sheriff supported the execution of Gaskin, Maria Deliberato, the executive director of Floridians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty and an assistant public defender said, "Louis Gaskin is mentally ill, and he has been in prison for more than 3 decades without incident. So we don't need to execute him to keep the state of Florida safe."